we're talking about how, yes, if we look at part of the news, it's dismal. If we look at the rest of the news, it's not so dismal. And
Yeah.
of course, this is the way it always is.
Of course, yeah, yeah. I was saying that to my mom the other day, just like, in terms of lifetimes to live, if we lived 300 years ago, it'd probably be a lot worse. So just have that
For us,
perspective.
a lot worse.
Yeah,
I mean, again, endlessly, Pharaoh would spit blood to have what we take for utter granted, utter granted.
yeah,
You know, a faucet that makes hot water.
yeah,
You know what I mean? At the touch of a finger, we can have any kind of music we want, any kind of music, yeah, from
yeah.
around the world. I mean, these things. So this brings us to theme. I do want to get back, and we keep drifting, but of course that's inevitable. But I do want to say that last time you said I do understand about being in the now that it saves energy and will make you, so that then it allows for a better here and now to plan stuff and all like this. But Chris, wonder and miracle, nah, dude, I don't get it, right? And so I want to talk about that today,
Okay.
okay? Yeah, because my gut reaction was, if you'll excuse me, no
Yeah,
disintended, except a little bit, right?
yeah.
Is how dare you say such a thing?
I don't even remember what we're talking about, but
It doesn't matter. We're talking about being in the here and now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you
yeah,
said, Chris, you keep talking about wonder and miracles. Like I don't get that. Right?
yeah. I don't remember even saying that, but
Yeah.
we'll could play it
Well,
out. Yeah,
that's a good thing to go with. Okay,
yeah,
it is very because again, most people do not see anything wondrous or miraculous about being alive on planet Earth, right? What do they say now? 16 billion years into the Big Bang. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying,
I feel
right?
like that. I feel like that wasn't me. I feel like that's contrary to what I would say because I've totally
I'm
have been
glad you said
agreeing.
that because we need to talk about this
Yeah,
because this is also in line with okay, you get in the here and now, then
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. That's what our whole conversation was last time. It was then
Right?
what? Yeah,
Okay, right. Well, we didn't get very far because we kept getting kind of side.
yeah, yeah,
But so this is important. This is
yeah,
important. And when I say how dare you, I'm not saying that to you specifically, but I am saying it to our kind in general.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And so let's begin with the Don Juan ditty, which I know you know this. But Castaneda saying to Don Juan, "Are there really new worlds to discover?" And Don Juan saying, "You fool! We have exhausted nothing, nothing."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No,
And
that's always kind of stuck with me because space travel has been like a big thing on everybody's mind since I've started to be able to like really notice what's going on in the news and what's going on in the world. Like started going to college. So like Elon Musk started the Tesla company right around the same time I was going to college and understanding the world. And so they were talking about space travel and everyone's talking about space travel and that brings it up to me. It's like you know oh, what's going on? Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah.
One second. A video is playing of me talking, so I can hear myself in my headphones, but I don't know where it's coming from. Hold on 1 second.
All right. Should we hang up and reboot?
I I don't think it's you. I think it's a video is playing on my computer, but I just can't see where it is. Okay, I got it. Okay. Whew. So something was playing. It was a video that I had downloaded and saved to one of my files. Somehow it just started playing in the background, so I could just hear myself through my
Listen,
headphones.
before I space it out, do you by any chance have the qigong work that we did together? Do you have that in cloud?
Um, Not in the cloud, but I do have it saved to my computer.
You do?
The all of our videos.
Yes. Yeah. Now, do you
Yes.
do you have the final ones that we did?
Let me check right here. Um, I would have to look through my files a little bit,
Would
but I
you
believe
I
that I
need you
do.
to do that because again, being old and half-assed,
Yeah.
I did not put it on cloud. It was in my hard drive, and that computer crashed. Yeah,
Oh crap. Yep, yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know.
Yeah, I still have all of my files, so I should have them somewhere. I just have to go look and research, and then I could.
Okay, I'd appreciate it if you would. And then we got to figure out how to get them to me because people are now that people think that there's no more DVDs.
Yeah.
Now everybody wants more.
What do they think that the DVDs are done being made? It's like a old thing now.
What I told people, because like a number of people have said, we either want to get another copy for a different house, or we want to give them to friends, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I go, I blew it. I can't make any more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have them somewhere. I'll definitely check right after this.
Cool. Okay, so let's get back on theme. So when I said initially, before we were rolling, bringing up this thing about wonder and miracle, it's like, nah, that's. Remember we were talking about people feeling that would be woo woo or hippy dip, and the answer to that is that leaves me in such a sorrow that it almost makes me weep.
Yeah.
And we have exhausted nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying now, the astrophysicists, again, who at least have the humility endlessly to say that, for instance, the Big Bang theory is a theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's a theory. It is not facts, right? So they begin with that humility. Yeah?
That's really important, because.
So what they say is that, according to theory, that after there was like an initial bang, and then it imploded, and then there was the super bang, right? And in that, I can't remember if the astrophysicists say that it would have to be atoms, now that I'm thinking about it, but then all these atoms occurred in that bang, that second bang, and there is a finite number of atoms, of all of which, right, are still in play. I think they're saying now that the Big Bang happened not when I was young. They thought it was 7 to 8 billion years ago, and now I think they're up to like 16 billion years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Right, but that every atom that is now in play in all of the galaxies. Yeah. All of the galaxies, yes, occurred back then.
Hi. Yeah.
So again, the atoms in you and I are 16 billion years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to, I could even explain that,
Well, you can explain it, but the fact is again, our theme is miracle and wonder. Okay. Yeah. Miracle is something that is an occurrence that is not of the norm. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes you go, it allows for a sense of awe. You dig? That is a pretty good definition of miracle. Yes?
Hi.
Right. And equally with wonder. That wonder occurs when we observe something, right, that takes us out of the mundane. Yes?
Hi.
Right? Okay. Well, according to theory, it took 16 billion years to articulate an ear of corn.
Yeah.
It took 16 billion years to make, a feather on a bird. Yeah. It took 16 billion years to make one of our eyeballs. Yes.
And then how diverse this just on this planet, the range of materials and I don't, or like fabrics or whatever, just the diversity on this planet is so extreme that like you could travel in one straight line for thousands and thousands of years in space and just see the same thing forever. And so the fact that there's so much diversity on this little tiny ball floating in the vast cosmos,
doing space travel.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly.
I told you that joke with the black comedian. He said, white people want to go to outer space. We're already in outer space.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I was getting to with we haven't wasted anything, is that, we have so much diversity.
The word is not wasted. The word is exhausted.
Exhausted. Hi. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the same as wasted. Exhausted means, once again, one of the terrible things about our feeble knowing, right, is that we do feel that we have exhausted everything, everything,
Uh, yeah.
everything. And
I
this is,
felt I felt that at a young age, like when I was like 15 or 16, I got that feeling. It's all mundane. I know everything. I've done everything. There's nothing new, you know? But then
and this
as time goes on,
this is why I say, to all of us, how dare you?
yeah, hi,
How,
definitely.
how
Yeah,
dare Yes,
yeah,
yeah. When you can make an ear of corn out of atoms, right? Then
yeah,
you can be blasé about being on planet Earth, right? 16 billion years into the theory of the Big Bang. Yeah,
yeah,
right? And again, the astonishing specificity. We are basically nebula, and
yeah,
then nebula articulates into galaxy, and then galaxy into solar system into planet, planet into, as you were just saying, this astonishing, wondrous, miraculous diversity that is all functioning with,
yeah,
again, variation in its specificity, which is beyond belief.
yeah. I mean, I've said this to you before, but I just said it to David recently when he would drive me home from class. I was like, at a young age, one of my favorite on-roads into all of these ideas was Planet Earth because it really opened my eyes to how, just I don't know, I would say just amazingly incredible the Earth is. Like just all the diverseness I didn't know about and the intelligence and the creativity and the doom and the all of it mixed together, like that really gave me an on-road to see just how incredible this planet was that we were living on. That's not just, mundanity 24/7,
I and the reason why this is so important is because truly, I would say, I don't know, 98% of us on the planet, human beings, right, yawn at these ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is why I hate the word interesting so much. Yeah. If that is the best you can do with this, again, this deadly miracle,
Yeah.
right, you should kill yourself now and have done with it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we are surrounded, and the other thing is that in its specificity, yes, from nebula to oak tree to apple tree, yes, to rose bush to lizard, whale, and human being, right? And maybe not so much with human beings, but everything is so astonishingly beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's kind
know,
of what I'm saying with the planet Earth thing. It opens your eyes up to the beauty
Yeah,
of
but
the
it's not
planet,
just planet Earth, dude. Look at the Milky Way galaxy at night. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Those little points of light, which are beautiful in the darkness, right? Most of them are galaxies. And we see them as points of light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris, that's because they're so far away. Oh, okay. So the miracle and the wonder is all dried up with that statement. Okay. Got it.
Right. I
Got it.
think it's if anything, it's the opposite, right?
Thank you. It is
Yeah.
exactly the opposite. It is exactly the opposite.
You're able to see these pieces of sun that are so, these like stars that are so big that if you even got like close enough to even look at it, you'd burn up, but we're able to sit on our planet, comfortably and warm and look, you know, light years off into this distance and see multitudes of suns, in the star and stars,
Not just suns, but billions and billions of suns in one collectivity called a galaxy. Yes, yes,
and we
yeah,
can view it from our little Earth platform, we have the ability to look out upon it.
right. Well, this is again that Zen ditty where while you cannot hang a sword in empty space, the river of stars floats a refuge. The refuge is planet
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah,
Yeah, which again, all of us take fundamentally for granted. Now, why is this important? Why is this worth considering? Because it sure as hell will not help you pay the bills. It will not. Yes?
hmm
Huh? But again, if as far as I am concerned, now as an old man, I remain on a daily basis so filled with wonder that even in my decline, that doesn't matter
hi,
because I've been given this deadly miracle for a while. Huh?
yeah.
Yes?
and you're
Yeah.
still able to enjoy it and partake in it for the time being, you know?
Still able? Holy, I am overwhelmed by, again, the wonder and the miracle. This is impossible. This is impossible. What we take ultimately for granted is absolutely impossible. There's another Zen story about Wuzu, and one of his, again, that being on your lap is inconceivable.
So cute.
Inconceivable, right? Inconceivable. Yes?
Yeah.
It is made of the same atoms that the lampshade is made of, that
Yeah.
you're made of.
That I'm made of. Yeah. Hi. And
Indeed.
it's completely different agreement, you know?
Right. And a specificity that is functional and beautiful.
Hi.
So beautiful. Yes?
And just in terms of the way it interacts with the world, very unique or different from you and me. Like they go through it so differently, you know?
Right. And each one of us go through it differently. You
Hi.
see?
Yeah.
Right? All of this is wondrous. All of this is miraculous. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yet we feel we have exhausted all of it.
Yeah.
And along with the arrogance that is implicit in that statement is a terrible heartbreak, because then none of it makes sense. See? None of it makes sense. Life's a
Yeah.
bitch and then you die, right?
But so for me personally, I think it's really fascinating just thinking about it. I've had to unlearn all
Hi.
of that stuff. It's not like it's something that like is kind of obvious when you're very, very, very young, but as you get older, it starts to just kind of wear and chip away, you know, the society and everything, you know, work and mundanity. And so like before I met you, you know, it was, oh, this is all boring. You live, you know, you eat, sleep, and die. But then as I've met you, I've slowly learned to unlearn
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yes. No shit. We eat, sleep, and die. Holy fuck. How does that happen?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like your life is you know, is miserable or it's great. It's all the same. It's the same amount of work. What's the exact quote?
Well, that's close enough for jazz, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
get it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's like,
It's, once again, I'm sorry, but that is still paltry. And
yeah,
this is one of the reasons again why you and I are taking an hour a week to do this, is to gently reinforce with each other, but also maybe to remind some people who know none of this is new. I know that. None of this is revelatory. I
yeah,
know that. However, it is because we are so conditioned that we really do think that we've used it all up. We've used it all up.
yeah.
And really, the only thing we've used up is our narrative about being alive.
Yeah.
Yes?
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's just that we truly believe that it's all not I'm saying you or me, but people in general truly believe that this is it. That what they see in front of them is all that is it. But
Well,
I
again,
feel like,
if they would actually see what's in front of them
yeah,
instead of
exactly.
the narrative about what's in front of them,
Yeah.
right? Again, there is a good chance that, like me and like you, people would gain the lovely prize of being thunderstruck and wonderstruck by being alive.
Yeah.
Yes?
Do you
Which,
think
God damn it, is part of the reason of being alive, is so that we will be thunderstruck and wonderstruck. You
do you,
dig?
do you think
Yes?
a lot of people throughout history or just in our time period right now can do this without unlearning or without someone telling them they have to
No, no,
unlearn?
you have to unlearn. You have to unlearn.
Yeah.
You
And
have to unlearn.
and that's pretty difficult. Really, I mean that's really difficult for a lot of us, but how do you think people can even get to that point to say, "Oh, I should be unlearning," you know, because that's even a hard point for a lot of people to probably grasp with is even to
By
come to
being
terms with
exposed,
that.
by being exposed to these kind of ideas, and that's why we're doing it.
Ah,
Yes?
yep,
Right?
I totally
You
agree.
know,
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
uh, if people are not informed about this stuff, which most people are not, they
Exactly.
are not. Again, in the Western religious model, we are told that planet Earth is the playground of the devil.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
scary.
know,
That's really scary, you know?
well,
Because
also then I also told you about that Christian guy I met one time, and I'm not dissing Christians per se, because anybody who subscribes to a game plan about what we're in the middle of, right, is selling what we're in the middle of short.
yeah, yeah.
Because any idea that we can come up with our feeble intellect in the midst of all this, right, is going to make it so all that it loses its potency. You
Yeah.
dig?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, there's times when I think about it and I realize it's so big that I don't stop thinking about it. I'm not saying, oh, this is a reason to stop thinking about it, but I think that it's so big that that terms that that some of these things, life, death, what happens after death, it might be so big for my brain to even comprehend that, that my brain, my little human brain might not be able to, so that's what I do is I live in the mystery. I try, nowadays.
it's not capable of comprehending this. Yes or no?
What was the question?
No, that you said that my, with the immensity of everything, that my feeble human brain, and I think what you were going to say is can't comprehend this.
Like yeah, like a death. Like
Well,
what could
that's the
possibly
whole
come
point.
after?
That is the point. No, it
Yeah.
cannot comprehend this. And once you begin to live with that as a truth, right, you regain wonder. This
Yeah.
is not, this is not rocket science. I swear to God,
Yeah,
that's
we've
so
talked
hard.
about this a little bit. We've talked about it a little bit, but like for me, if I get into those points, it becomes way more painful trying to try to figure out every little detail of what could possibly happen after you die, rather than just living in the mystery of knowing that there's the incredible mystery there. And no one will ever know, That's something that like
Or we
once
won't
you
until it
till it
happens.
happens.
Right.
But it's one of those things that the no one's ever going to be able to know it on life. No living person will ever be able to know what happens after death, because once you die, you're not here anymore. You go to the other place, like it's just that paradox, or I don't know if it's a paradox, but just the reality of
It's
that,
a reality. It's a
yeah,
reality. Right. Well, this is why the Buddha said to the Hindu guy who asked, "Is there life after death?" The Buddha said, "This is mundane sophistry." Now, again, that is misstated just a little bit. What he should have said is, any answer you or I could come up with would be mundane
hi,
sophistry. The
yeah,
question is not mundane sophistry.
hi,
Yes, the question is what can take us into the actual mystery, miracle, and wonder of what life is. You see,
yeah,
back into it, like children, as Christ said, except you be as little children. Little children are envious, little children are selfish, little children can be cruel, just like big children, adults.
hmm,
Yes?
yeah,
But what children have, which adults lose, is an ongoing sense of wonder and question. That's why they ask questions
yeah.
all the time, right?
And it's because they have less built up and less, ideas built up about how everything works. Like you were talking about,
Right.
just, you know, we all believe this is it, so we get really, sad behind that, or tormented.
Indeed, because what we are then thinking life is not what life is, it's what our idea of life is, which by
Right.
definition is going to be puny.
Hi.
See?
And
Puny.
especially because our society is so puny, with social media and celebrities and fame and money and all of that stuff, it's really hard for people to see those type of what we're talking about as a good way to live. When society's telling you money, cars, sex, drugs.
And let's put instead of good way to live it, because what is being proposed is that it is the highest quality of a way to live. You
Hi.
see,
Yeah.
right? And again, the Frank, are you dipping into Dune yet? By the way.
Oh no, I'm just finishing this one book. I'm almost done with it. It's a book about Native Americans here in Santa Fe. But once I finish that, I'm gonna jump right into it.
Excellent. Well, again, the reference of the mystery of life is not a riddle to be solved,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
is a reality to be experienced.
Yeah.
That is profound beyond expression.
It's one of my favorite quotes, definitely,
Uh,
that I've heard. Yeah.
The other one in Dune is, what senses do we lack that we cannot see a whole new world all around us?
Hi. And that's basically what we've been talking about this whole time. Yeah.
Right. The Zen ditty that I so love, and I know you know it, but let's do it anyway, is, if not for the jade man's dream being shattered, yes, and
Hmm.
finding a life beyond, how can the whole world be remade each day?
Huh.
Right? Well, I say without a shred of arrogance, yes, for decades now, my life every day is remade utterly. Utterly.
So I kind of understand the first half of that koan. Or the second half? What's the
It's not a
first half
koan.
mean?
That's not a koan. That's just a saying,
Saying
right?
hi. What
Okay.
does the jade part mean?
Well, how do the Chinese feel about jade?
They love it. They're obsessed with it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
it's as valuable as gold,
Hi. Okay.
right? So if not for the jade man, so clearly the jade man, which is you and I with our worldviews,
Hi. Yeah.
I, yes. So it's not a diss. If
Yeah.
not for the very valuable, humanity that we have, right, and the ideas within the way we've been raised,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If that's our dream, that is the dream. You see, based on what other people have told us about what's what.
Hi.
And other people have told us, basically, we come away with life's a bitch when you die.
Yeah.
I mean, yes or no, dude?
Yeah. Seriously. No, it's so true. And that's one thing that I've been really fascinated with the Native American culture with, just that I've been reading this book, is like they really do remind me a lot of like Japanese culture, just in terms of their sense of culture and duty and relationship to the earth.
Let's say something as woo woo as a reverence for nature and everything that is in it.
Hi. Yeah. Exactly.
I
Yeah.
was watching this not very good movie, and this white guy's talking to a Native American guy about something to do with nature, and the Native American guy cracks up and he goes, "God, I always love listening to white people talk about nature." It's like it's so wrong. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I've,
indigenous people, right, are very much like Zen Buddhists. They are.
yeah.
Again, enter Zen from the sound of the mountain stream. Yes? Hi?
Hi.
Again, we have not begun to exhaust the wonder and the miracle of the atoms that came out of the Big Bang coalescing with specificity into a mountain stream.
Yeah.
It not only feels good to the touch, but also sounds wonderful. I
Yeah.
mean,
How is that possible?
that one up.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. Just the incredible diversity blows my mind. Just the
But again, also,
difference
but
and specificity.
the beauty, a sperm whale is a beautiful specificity. A housefly is a beautiful specificity. A human being, your cat, the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
A leaf, the new leaves coming out now. I mean, a week ago, there were these little silver gray, hard as rock little buds that made it look like the tree was dead. A week later, there are four leaves coming out of each one of those things that are now opening up even more where the flower blossoms are starting. Well, again, how does that happen?
Yeah. Right.
Well, Chris, it's called springtime when all plants begin to have new growth. That's how it happens. There, no wonder or miracle here.
Yeah. Yeah. Just basic explanation of the processes in which
Right.
it
Yeah.
occurs.
What we do as a group is we confuse the process with the cause.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
I, I,
I
again,
definitely see
no
that.
idea what the cause is with any of this stuff.
I mean, when you were saying that just now, like about the flower, literally the only thing that came to my mind was like, I'm not even religious, but just God. Like the idea of just
Yeah,
God came to my mind.
yeah, no shit, no shit. By the way, this is real religious.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite, he was a Neoplatonist Christian named Plotinus. And Plotinus said, the search for God is the journey of the alone to the alone.
Hi. Yeah, that's intense.
So this is why you and I have referenced the fact that there are two religions on planet Earth. One is organized religion, which is basically about control, and
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
The sorrow is, as a mass, as a group, we need to be controlled because we're out of our fucking minds, right?
Yeah,
Individually, however, yes, then we have the chance in going back into the miracle and the wonder of what we are and what we are surrounded by, then the idea of wanting to know what caused all this
yeah,
begins to be a very compelling want to know. Right?
yeah.
Right?
For me personally, hearing organized religion, preach versus hearing mystical religion preach, it's such a dichotomy one is, trying to fit it in these rigid rules, and the other one's just saying, look what's around, look at the mystery around us. It's not insulting intelligence. It's just saying this is, this it's something that anybody can really kind of relate to,
I,
and
I,
and
once they take it on, once they, as Christ said, unless ye be as little children, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So what the priest class says is that means if you are pure like a little child, then you get to heaven,
of
right?
course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, again, they don't hang out with kids very much.
Yeah.
No, kids are just as mean spirited and, they have their flaws just like adult kids do, right?
Yeah.
But what they do have that adults, again, give up is an open sense of what's going on.
hmm
Yes?
Like
What's
we were just saying, they have less built up and clouding their, their judgments, like kind of like most of us do.
like, yeah, like damn near all of us
Yeah.
do. Yes?
Preconceived ideas and notions about how things work, like you were
Right.
saying. The
What things are.
Yeah.
Yes? Yes? And the outcome is we do feel that we have exhausted everything on planet Earth.
And our society tells us that it's all mundane and it's all just mundane and it's all just whatever, and then
Now,
and then
again,
go to the
the
next thing.
way we look at it is
Yeah.
mundane, but it is not mundane.
Hi. Hi.
So I
Yeah.
want to go back to Wuzu, that Zen master with Yuan Wu, his main student, who became one of the most renowned Zen masters of history. Yes.
Can I blow my nose real quick? One
I,
second. Cool. I'll be right back. So
uh,
the
so,
two Zen masters, right?
so Yuan Wu said at one point, my teacher, my master said, fire is inconceivable. And he said, I had no idea what he was talking. For years, I had no idea what he was talking about. Right. So, what do you make of that statement? Fire is inconceivable.
For me, I mean, I'm having trouble articulating it, but for me, it's kind of like what we've been talking about, just that these things are so big and mysterious and magnificent. When we try to put the word like fire on it, it kind of makes it less than what it is.
How does again? Because you think that you have exhausted fire. You've seen fire for
Over and
enough.
over.
It's fire.
Yeah.
Why would fire be inconceivable? Well, the fact is, I would say the same thing about a raindrop, right, or a rock.
Or a piece of wood, right? Like we've done this
Yes,
with wood, right?
well done. Or a fingernail. You
Yeah.
understand me? Yes. Hi. Hi.
And when you try to break it down into its base elements, the farther you go in, at some point you start to break your own mind down. You're like, "This, I don't know." You can say
Hi.
it's atoms and molecules and an arrangement of all these things, but you start to go down enough, and then you're like, "I don't know." You don't.
Hi.
There is no answers.
Well done. All right. But you said, how do people enter this? This is the way. And remember, I said to you at the beginning, what you do is you make a statement. Life is a deadly miracle, right? People will focus on the deadly part and go, what the fuck are you talking about? Where's the miracle? The miracle is fire is inconceivable. Your toenail is inconceivable. The fact that we are having conversation is inconceivable. All of this is inconceivable. We are surrounded by this. Yes?
Mhm.
And in our arrogance and in our looking not at life itself, but endlessly looking at our narrative about what life is in here, our endless internal dialogue, right? That we have exhausted. You know why? Because it's puny.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't
But
want to.
this we have exhausted not at all.
Yeah, I don't want to keep going back to this, but just maybe you can help me articulate it a little bit. But like the Native American thing, it keeps bringing me back to that, which is like they just seem like the Zen guys. They're trying to just figure out logical and coherent way to traverse through this life that doesn't, that takes in consideration a lot of these things and tries to deal with them, manage them in a coherent way. And how can we all just live a coherent life with these
Not necessarily.
understandings?
Again, coherent, we're right back into, I'm sorry, but we're right back into the doing of life is the fundamental miracle. That is incorrect. The fundamental miracle of life is the fact that we are at all. See? And what we,
So
no, go ahead, go ahead.
what would be a better word than coherent? We're trying to live a life of abundance,
How about joyous?
a joyous life.
Heaven
Yeah.
forbid that somebody would say such a thing. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, that a little bit. Just I want remember.
when I'm reading about these Native Americans and how they interact with the world around them, it shows to me that, of course, I've looked at the Zen guys, and that was my first on-road into it. But now I'm just looking at other people from different parts of the world. That there were people who, on a day-to-day basis, thought about how do I make my life joyous and how do I live the
No,
best
no,
life,
no, 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 no. They did not think, how do I make my life joyous? They were actually looking at the miracle, the mystery of life, and in that, joy occurs spontaneously. You're
Yeah,
not seeking joy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You are seeking to understand. You
Mhm.
understand with the given foundational understanding that what you are going to come back to is Christ. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and
know.
and we're
Yeah.
all gonna die. At the end, we're all gonna die. So we might as well appreciate this what we have here.
Might as well is like a booby prize as opposed to no. Wait a minute. We can also say about death that we're not going to be experiencing the contradictions and the miseries and the despairs of life forever.
Yeah,
No, 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 no. Seriously, see, we leap over these ideas. You understand? And then there's no potency in them, and then there's no nourishment. People, particularly in old age, go, this is, I'm suffering. This is never going to end. Yes, it is. Yes.
yeah. No, it'll be done at some point.
Hi,
Yeah.
indeed, indeed. Yeah,
So
so as an old man, now with the acknowledgement that I do not have the energy that I had when I was your age, I do not have the capacity, right? But in the midst of this wondrous miracle that is deadly, right? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The miracle itself is so astonishing that to have this at all with whatever parameters are given in it, right? I mean, what if we never were, dude? Just for a second, instead of like leaping over that, what if you never were?
I mean, so I'm not trying to jump into this really quickly, but I do think about it. I've thought about it a lot, but it's
Good.
one of those things that it's one of those things that like it's very, I guess, very hard to actually grasp the reality of the situation.
It is
But yeah,
ungraspable. It
yeah,
is. But to go through that process of reaching a place of ungraspability,
Mhm.
right, then begins to bring you back. You were asking, what would you say to people in general? How do you do it? And again, paraphrasing the Tao Te Ching, which I think we've done before, but it doesn't hurt to do it again,
Right.
right? Is in gaining worldly knowledge, every day something is added. In gaining the Tao, every day something is taken away. Yes?
Mhm.
Huh? Yeah. So we are not at variance with little knowledges, right? And this is where we get into the difference between naivete, which is what we have as children. We are naive. There's a whole bunch of, we don't know how to drive cars or, use a hammer or wash, that is naivete. That is not the same thing as innocence. And we are taught to believe that it is the same thing. You see, once again, this is another particularly stupid teaching.
Yeah.
Yes? Well, again, if you come back to the fact that we do not know how a pea, you dig, a little green pea,
Mhm.
right? Was actualized over 16 billion years of stardust doing different things, right? And then down to the specificity of a pea, which happens to be nourishing for the human organism. I
Yeah.
mean, once again, How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's the more you ask the question to me, the more my brain says it's not about answering that question. It's about
No, yeah,
living
but
the
it is about
mystery.
doing the question.
Definitely, definitely. But
You understand?
yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. But I think what's happening is I'm going over it over and over, and the more I do that in my brain, the more I'm like, it's 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 more about the mystery than the. Then you do have to ask the question in order to get here. But I do feel like it's so big that any answer I can give it will be not living up to it, and so
Will
just
be
the mystery.
mundane sophistry, like the Buddha said 2,500 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Like, but again, we don't stop there.
hi,
You see,
exactly.
we go back into it. Now, again, it's a very, very pointed question and very important. Okay, so how do you come to these ideas as more foundational than the ideas that we were trained to believe are foundational?
Hi,
Right?
yeah,
And
that's what.
the answer is no, you're right. By undoing our conviction that we have exhausted these questions, by pointedly going back into them, and then, as I've said to you, I will make a statement. Life is a wondrous miracle that is going to kill us. Yes, right. Now, what you do is you come back with any yeah, but you may have.
Yeah. Or
That's the
why? Yeah, yeah.
well, that's the process. No, the process is, okay, I don't agree with that because of this belief, this idea. And then we look at the validity in the face of that idea. You see?
Hi.
Yeah, I told you in the past that I met a Christian guy, right? And again, that's where I got sidetracked. I'm not just dissing Christians,
Mhm.
right? But who told me that there are no perfect trees on planet Earth. The only perfect trees are in heaven. So all his life, he's going to look at trees as a mistake.
Mhm.
What a terrible thing to do to the beauty of the mystery of a tree. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? For him, for
Mm.
him. For him, what a horrible waste. Yes?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just kind of that whole ideology just it kind of scares me a little bit. That's all. What I was thinking is just that there is such a big culture perpetuating those ideas that that everything is bad and this is the devil's land until we go to heaven, then we get redeemed, and then we can experience the goodnesses of existence.
Right?
And and
Or
it's
humanism that says this is it and this is the truth. You see, the fact is that is just as much a belief as
Mhm.
saying we get to go to heaven.
Yeah.
The astonishingly potent thing about Buddhism in general and Zen Buddhism specifically is that it says, let's return to an ever deepening question, right? Instead of these puny little answers. And then we are once again let down because they do not begin to incorporate the good and the bad of all of this.
Mhm. So I'm trying to play devil's advocate because I do
Look,
know so many people that live in that mundane sophistry where they just come at it with all these puny answers and then it's done. They don't have to think about it any further. But like I'm thinking about I'm just trying to think of a good example, but I can't really think of a good example. But you understand where I'm getting at. It's just that
yes, I do. Um, so the fact is that the real question would be why do we turn away from questioning, right, so significantly, so that we really do feel that we have used up this gift called a lifespan. Yes, the adventure of a lifetime. We feel like we've used it up.
I'm thinking I don't know how to answer, but I think there is something about our logic where we want to be like smart. So we want to say, I have thought about this. I have thought about the answer. Even for us, if it's some puny mundane answer, they say, I have thought of the answer. Now I know. Now I don't have to explore any further. Now I understand this. Now let's move on to the next thing. And that's kind of they're using the small answer to make that to validate that whole situation to not
Indeed.
explore it anymore.
Indeed. And then what the outcome of mundane sophistry is a fundamental lack of satisfaction.
Yeah, yeah, and it's come. I see a lot.
But this is why the Frank Herbert line is so important, because we treat the mystery of life the same way we do if we need to build a house. That it's like a problem that needs to be solved instead of actually experiencing the richness of the question of it, you see. And this is what
Yeah.
Zen Buddhism is about.
And okay, so question is, do you think that maybe this has to do with all of our kind of, there's like a lot of people in my generation, my peers are say that they are what is it? They don't believe, not agnostic, but you are,
They're
what is
atheists. They're atheists.
atheists? Yeah, and there's this big thing with atheists and
Right.
logic, and it beats out all of this, spirituality and ideas, and so there's this big battle between those two ideas, and in a lot of my peer groups are.
No, it's not just your. The sorrow here is this is every generation, and once again, what you said that was actually spot on is people for some reason are willing to take again a mundane, sophistic answer. Well, Chris, a pea, occurs after 16 billion years because of evolution. There, it's all done. We don't have to question it anymore. Well, once again, that is the method. That is not the cause. What is the cause? What is the cause? You see? Yeah. One of the most famous koans, which you almost articulate every time we talk about this, is all things return to the one. What does the one return to?
Yeah, that one's so big for my brain.
Yeah, indeed. Well, there are 1,700 koan, and most of them boil down, at least in part, to coming back to a depth of question where, again, question, not answer.
Mhm.
Question is reinfused. You know what I mean? Yeah?
Yeah, so if you have too much sophistry and too much just pure logic, and you just come up with the
No,
answer
it's like,
quickly.
no, to hell with that. You and I have been using logic to come back to the understanding that we do not know how a pea occurred or a banana,
Yeah,
yes, or a piece of beef jerky, for Christ's sake, or a sneaker. Yes, we are using logic to come back to that resuscitated, renewed, revitalized question. So, see, this is where the humanists say, oh, yeah, the religious people are illogical. We are logical. Therefore, our belief that we know what's what, right, is the truth. No, it's not. It's a belief.
and I think that made me just kind of think of like Occam's razor to a degree. Like they kind of go with the simplest answer is the
Right.
truth, so that then they don't have to even explore it anymore. Then that's
Right.
done. Let's move on to the next thing. That's
Right.
done. Move on to the
And
next thing.
next week, sadly, then becomes being pretty much despairing with this tiny little thing called your life,
Yeah, it
which
becomes very narrow. It all becomes very narrow and very small.
you think.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I understand this. I understand that. I know it all. It's all just
yes,
it's
so
just
it's really
there.
important to understand that we are using logic in a very, very pointed way. Right? This is not illogical. Mr. Spock would approve of what we are doing now with logic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you can use logic for some things that will make you very happy, or for some things that will make you really, really unhappy. But it's still the same logic. It's just how you're applying it to the
Well,
situation.
we've got to be careful here, because I would say, no, that is not the case with logic, but that is the case with belief. You see?
Beliefs too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or,
Yes.
yeah.
Which again, at a certain point, the belief, the humanistic belief, yes, that we have plumbed the depths of the mystery and the miracle, and therefore the wonder of a pea, you dig, right, is still a belief. It is not the truth.
Hi.
But the outcome of that belief, right, again, is life made so small and so redundant because it is based on, again, our own mundane sophistry,
Hmm.
that then there is no nutrition, there is no potency that counterbalances the terrible difficulty of being alive, which is real.
And would you agree that in most cases those beliefs end up becoming strong ideas, convictions about how things are?
Right,
Yeah.
indeed, indeed. And this is why the third Zen patriarch said, seek not the truth, only cease to cherish convictions. Yes?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So what that does, ipso facto, is it brings us back to child mind, right? Which takes up these things once again. What is the profundity of a pea? Well, again, if a pea is made up of the same thing that you are, and the chair that you're sitting on, and the wall behind you, yes, and what makes up the computer, and what makes up the cat and the dog, how dare we say that there is nothing, again, miraculous about a pea?
Yep. Yeah, I think that with these questions and these ideas that you just have to have a little bit of humbleness to approach them with an open mind.
Right.
And if you can do
Hold on.
that, then they're
Hold on.
very they don't insult your intelligence and it's easy to work with these ideas. But if you don't come with an open mind and you just say, I already know everything, it's already fit into its box, then there's no wonder. Then these ideas are a lot harder to intake into yourself, like to
Indeed, to
what is the
bring,
word to
yes,
yeah.
indeed. Well, this is why the Greeks were right when they talked about hubris and nemesis. Yes?
Hmm.
Hubris is spiritual arrogance. I mean, that's one definition, but that's actually what it means, right? And basically, once again, what we have said is basic. There's no real question left. There may be, I was watching BBC World News, and this gal with her English accent, right? They were talking about how astrophysicists have somehow measured the velocity of a galaxy turning based on its size and all that stuff, right?
Ah, that's incredible.
Well, they came, yeah, isn't that cool, right? So they came up with again the idea, not the truth, but the idea that again that the galaxies are moving faster than they are supposed to based on their size, which means that the equations that they are using to measure the speed of a galaxy is now no longer, they can't use it
Huh.
anymore,
Yeah.
right? So this gal goes, um, don't you find that it's rather confusing when galaxies are going faster than they're supposed to? Don't you think? She said.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like that's all it's not too big for my brain to think about, but those are one of those things that's like, like who thinks about that type of stuff?
Well,
And
the fact,
we all should be.
well, again, we got to be careful about should, because people are going to take umbrage at that. They're going to get pissed off about should.
Mm.
The real question is, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why
And
wouldn't you
I
return to these
think
questions?
just playing for maybe that's not even devil's advocate, but it's just the top of my mind. The first thing is it's kind of scary because it's so big. So people kind of are afraid to go into those kind of like to really think about it or to try to even think about it because it's so big and so beyond our realm of thought processes that people might shy away from it because it's like that's scary.
Well, I think some people do that, but the fact is it's scary anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Yes,
Yeah.
no, yes,
Yeah.
no.
Without
So, what we are seeking to do in these considerations, which again do not come from me and they don't come from you, they come from generations of human beings who have made these kind of questions the point of their being alive. And they, by the way, at a certain point, Yuan Wu realized absolutely right. Fire is utterly inconceivable. Rain is utterly inconceivable. Our fingernail is utterly inconceivable. Your cat is utterly inconceivable. Therefore, you are surrounded by mystery. And the other thing that is so mind blowing is that this mystery, if you look at it directly instead of through your bitching narrative about it, is beautiful. Your cat is
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, when I stare at one of my animals and as I'm staring at them, I break away all of my preconceived notions of this is an animal, this is
There
a
you go. Well
a
done, Alex. That's
a physical
well done.
being. Then I just look at it, I'm like, like, how is this possible that that we all can just be here? How is this possible? Because it's so fundamental, not fundamental. It's so different to me, the cat, but it's also so similar. Like, I'm just, in terms of what it may be, is thinking about that very moment. It's so different.
But as you were doing that, are you not in a state of gratuitous, automatic wonder?
Hi, definitely.
If you could live your life like that, how would that be?
Yeah, I think that would be a worthy way to live your life.
Indeed, even in the face of death and decline, yes or no?
Hi. Okay. Especially, right?
Hi. That's why we're talking about this. Right? That's one. Is so that maybe one or two people might go, if I do this, if I come back into the actual here and now, not the there and then, right? But the here and now, right now. Once again, dude, for you and I, right here, right now, what bad is occurring?
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Or even if there is, like allergies, right?
Yeah.
In the face of what we're talking about, who cares?
Hi. Yeah, exactly. In the face of life and death, we're going to die. So if I had to go through my whole life with allergies, maybe I'd start to actually, appreciate it, because the fact is I'm going to die at some point. So I won't ever have allergies ever again, but I also won't be able to smell or do all those other things too. So
at least you do not know what's going to happen. Right, and this is what we have to have, again, the integrity and the courage to be in a state of open question as opposed to petty answer. So the question is, how do people do this? You acknowledge to begin with that I have been living with petty answer, yes, right, and I can acknowledge to myself that investing in that for quality of life does not work. Yeah. Now, a petty answer in terms of the methodology of repairing a car or building a house or doing a painting, i.e., worldly knowledge, that, yes, you have that knowing, right? But that does not exhaust the questions of being in life in eternity. It does not begin to exhaust it. And you can't apply the same mechanism to building a house. Looking at the night sky is not the same as building a house.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think that took me a little bit as a younger person, just being like, how do you appreciate a sunset? I had to really grapple with the idea before I was able to appreciate a sunset. And it was a weird way to approach it, but I think, it is that same concept.
Wait, this is what we're talking about. No, this is absolutely the right way. What the fuck is so spectacular about a sunset? Well, the colors, how it changes a mountain from a visual that looks like a mountain. At sunset, all of a sudden, instead of it being green and gray and black, right, it's crimson or orange or red. Well, how does that, well, Chris, it happens because of, light rays and your optics. It's like, okay, we are still dealing with the method, and you are telling me that is the cause. It is not the cause. And this is where you get into religious speculation about what made all of this. You see, then you're dealing with the idea of God. You see, right? Without breathing hard. You understand? Yep. Like it looks like God.
Yeah. That's where my mind, it's like the most. I don't know if this is a bad way to put it, but it's almost like the most easy way for my brain to understand something so miraculous. Is God.
Not understanding it, you're acknowledging that you don't understand it.
Yeah, true.
Right? Yeah. All right, but please understand that ipso facto, right, the normal response to that will then take you into considerations of what made all this. Yes? Yeah. Okay, well, that is called the search for God. See, right? That's why I not use the word God. You know me well enough to know that I will always say that which made all things. Because the word God is so loaded, it's like the word love or anything else. It's so loaded that people will instantly shut down instead of saying, wait a minute, so when people say to me, do I believe in God? Of course, my first answer is we need to define our terms.
That makes sense.
Right? We got to stop. Yeah. All right. So excellent, dude. I'll see you
Yeah, it was
tomorrow.
good. All right,
Okay.
cool. I'll be there.
All right. Cool. Love you.
All right, love you too, man. Take care.